Hello everyone, so I thought I'll just talk you through the CIP guidance that I was just given. So as far as the CIPs are concerned, I assume you all know that each CIP has individual key skills inside for which you need to link some kind of assessment that you have had. Once you have linked an assessment to each skill, then that CIP will become green. As your CiPs are becoming green, then you need to complete the next step, which is requesting a CiP assessment. So you go into the CiP and right at the bottom, you click on the request CiP assessment, and then you need to complete this by doing your self-assessment, saying whether you feel like you meet the expectations or not. And in the trainee's comment, I would suggest you write a brief explanation why you think that you meet the expectations, and this should be essentially a little summary of each evidence that you have touched in order to complete that CiP, so that your educational supervisor, by reading these comments, can assess if the level of difficulty for each evidence that you have submitted is good enough for your level of training. So obviously the further along in your training you are, you should be dealing with more complex things. This is one of examples of one CiP, so this one doesn't really have levels of experience, so it just says meeting or not or below expectations. And then your supervisor, once you send them, you put the details here, save and send, and then they will be able to go through it and assess, and if they agree or not, click the relevant boxes and resubmit. If you go to a clinical CiP, you'll see that there is a difference. Let's go emergency obstetrics. Once you complete all of these, if you go into this CiP assessment, it has a level of training that you've got. So each year correlates to a relevant level of experience. So ST1s would be mainly level 1, ST7s would be level 5. And again, do your self-assessment for your level of training, say what level you should be, what level you think you are, and make sure that correlates to your level of training. And then in the trainee's comment, again, a very brief summary of the evidence that you have submitted to shows the level of experience that you've got for your training. And again, send it then to your supervisor, which then they will assess on their own what they think it is, and hopefully it all matches, and submit, and it's all fine. You can see here a small description about what each level means. So level 1, just observe, and then as you go on it gets more and more independent. So this is what you should be relating to when you're completing your levels. Gynae procedure or obstetrics would have a relevant level that you should be meeting. So at ST1, capabilities in practice, which would be your CiPs, you can see that they're mainly 1s, ST2s 2, and then go on. So you should be meeting in the relevant CiPs those level of experience as you progress. The OSATs that you would be expected to have signed off for each level of training. So X is the competencies that you need to meet. So you need to have all of these for each level that you go, each year of training. You can see here again different sign-offs for different years. Make sure that you meet these. I'm sure you've got them already. And then this is another one that I found, which shows a little bit of like the CiP 9 to 12, the levels of experience that that each trainee should have. So hopefully you meet these. Then once you've completed all your CiP assessments, the next step is populating your educational supervisor report. So once you've done all of those assessments and you're all ready and all your CiPs are green, then you need to create your annual educational supervisor report. So down here as you go, you'll see that once you have done your CiP assessments, these will be generated here, so you'll be able to see each and every CIP with your self-assessment, the education supervisor assessment, and the global judgment. For subspecialty outcomes, it would be down here, and these are all the ARCP outcomes essentially. And then the procedure summary. The portfolio seems to generate automatically procedures that you have done on this new portfolio. So 2 summative hysteroscopies competent in this year. If I have had another one from last year, I can put here 1, then the total number would be 3. So then if we're happy that I've met competency, it would be yes and go further. So you need to complete all this for all of the assessments. Bear in mind that everyone has every single procedure in this log. So all procedures that you have to get signed off up until SD7 will be in your portfolio educational supervisors report. So you don't have to fill in ones that are not relevant to you. You just need to summarize what you've done. So previous curriculum, all signed off there, put there, and proceed. If you haven't got it, you just leave it as 0. So other than like an ST1 is unlikely to have a complex cesarean section sign off. So then you just say have been done, no, leave it as such, and continue. And then once you've finished all of that, you go through all of that. Global judgment, this would be what we see at the RCP, I assume, and we'll go on from there. So hopefully that's a bit helpful. Happy to chat if anyone has any questions.